hear Jordan Mailata, the left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, talk about we had to move on. We have to learn a new scheme. It makes me think about the new offensive coordinator in Sean Mannion and what this offense looks like without A.J. Brown here. So you lose your star receiver. You have a new offense. What do you think this Eagles unit looks like in 2026?
Less receivers, more tight ends. We will see Dallas Goedert and their second-round pick, Eli Stowers, on the field a ton. I think that's going to be beneficial for everybody. Obviously, this offensive line has been one of the best in the NFL. I think it's going to help them just lean on people. Saquon, one of the best, if not the best backs in the NFL. A little bit more of a traditional run game for him. And then Jalen Hurts going under center, playing play action. I said this. This will be a different version quarterback-wise than Jalen Hurts has ever played. He will have to learn to play quarterback in a completely different way. It comes down to how good is Mekhi Lemon. It really does. Devontae Smith will be fine. He's a true one. Mekhi Lemon, if we look at some of these rookie receivers that have played in this Shanahan type of system, I don't expect Puka Nacua, 105 catches, 1,500 yards. But Jaden Reed in Green Bay, 65 catches. Yes. I think Mekhi Lemon can do that. If you think about Brandon Ayuk in San Francisco, his rookie year, 60 catches, both of them about 750 yards and 5 touchdowns. If Mekhi Lemon can give this Eagles offense that, I think this Eagles offense, I'm not being disrespectful to AJ, I think this Eagles offense can settle in fine over the course of the season.
Right. Like, if they had traded A.J. Brown and the offense wasn't changing, I would be extremely worried because the old offense was predicated on the receivers winning in isolation and one-on-ones, and that's just not going to be the case now. Dan, you mentioned Green Bay. I think that's going to be the closest analog, not just because of Sean Mannion, who obviously comes from there, but when we think about the McVay-Shanahan tree, the different branches do put their own spin on it a little bit. And Green Bay, while a lot more under center, for sure, condensed formations, all the things Dan's talking about, not to the degree, right, necessarily of the Rams, or it'll be a little different from the San Francisco 49ers. Yes. I think we're going to see a lot more easy buttons. I want to emphasize that. You talked about the tight ends, Mekhi Lemon working underneath. I think about Saquon as a pass catcher. In Green Bay, the short passing game was extremely efficient, third league-wide in EPA per play, because they were able to get guys open in space, get them yards after the catch. Non-existent in Philadelphia last year. Very bad, the short passing game, the screen game. So I think for Jalen Hurts, he has to evolve, but I think if he buys into it, it could be easier for him. And I'll throw in one more name, Josh Grizzard, coming from Tampa. Very good screen game in the Bucs. So I would like to see that improve as well in Philadelphia. Again, more easy buttons for Jalen Hurts. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. Guys, I got the chills right now. I wish it was easy to call upon my previous takes. It's just there's just so many videos that it becomes really hard to find until it's a little bit easier to search, but it's like this is something I've been talking about for just so long that there is no easy button for Jalen Hurts in this Eagles offense. There is none of this easy, short game, screen game, behind the line of scrimmage, yards after catch. There's just none of that. And again, like cause I've made videos and I've done the numbers and done the graphics. I wouldn't be able to find them cause there's just so many where I showed you like when Jalen actually has like competent YAC, both years he went to the Super Bowl, he had just slightly above average yak like you or like average yak, right? And it's like he's never had the high end, and it's just like when everyone always talks about like, oh, he hasn't thrown for 4,000 yards and stuff, like you just do the basic math and realize that all these other quarterbacks have significantly more passes. Again, the screen game behind the line of scrimmage, yak, all that, and it's just like if he just got that similar levels, that's what Jalen Hurts had, right? Like then he puts up those same numbers, and that's why it's been so impressive to me to see what he's been able to do without all of that. And considering Dallas Goedert led the NFL, it was second in the NFL that tight ends but SEC. On in the NFL in touchdowns. This idea that they're going to be working even more with the tight ends, I've been on this for a while, and I was actually on this with the Packers and Kraft, where I'm just like tight end. I mean it, two of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, their most important weapon was their tight ends. Like that's not just a coincidence. It's just not a coincidence. So, the idea that they're going to be working more with tight ends, I love it. I think it also allows Jalen Hurts to set teams up. It's what I always talk about when you catch a team in the middle where you don't know, do I go after him? Do I go after the quarterback, or do I cover the defense? The offensive player right around my general area, and it's like you kind of get caught in between, and it's just you either commit towards the quarterback and you could just do a nice little dump off pass, or they stay back and now you have a running lane. You have space to run to pick up 5, 6 yards or more, and it's just like getting teams constantly caught in the middle with that. I just the versatility that this offense is going to bring excites me so much. And, snorts, they're finally going to be doing the things that I've been talking about for so long. And that I constantly pointing out, look what Bigger had with the Bucks with Liam Cohen, look what Andy's been doing with Mahomes. Right? Lee. I have all those videos. In fact, those are some of my earliest videos where I was really able to and I didn't do this on purpose, it just came out naturally. It was really my own spin on things. It was it's really some of my most unique takes, unique videos, because I don't see anyone talking about that or anyone making content like that. And it was just it was one of my first things of oh, see I have things to say that other people aren't talking about. And again, I didn't even do it on purpose. It's just how my mind works, and it kind of naturally unfolded. And the more and more I looked at the data, the more and more the picture got clear. And it's just they're finally doing it. And that's why the idea, and this is what always drove me crazy. 'Cause the idea that it was Jalen Hurts, why they couldn't, why they just have to essentially run an offense where it's hey, just win your one-on-one matchups. Just go ahead and win. The idea that Jalen Hurts is such a bad quarterback that they can't scheme the offense. I took that doesn't, do you understand that doesn't actually make if anything it's the opposite, that Jalen Hurts is such a bad quarterback that he needs the offense heavily schemed for him. That they need to do a lot of these screen passes behind the line. It's right that they need it, that they need more easy buttons, as Mina herself just put it. I it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So, the fact that this is now finally going to be more scheme-based. I just love it, man. I love it so much. This offense, the closest they had to an easy button was as some commenter put, and I already went through that video that his comment before, I'm just chuck it up deep, and it's just oh, just make Jalen Hurts throw a perfect ball 60 yards down the field right outside the numbers. Oh, yeah, that's an easy button. And it's just no, those are low percentage plays. And a true easy button, a true get out of jail free card, is a high percentage play, high percentage completions, something that we consistently see with Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. Right, we consistently see that. It's high percentage. And so, that just excites me, man. And now listen to what I don't know what I was about to say, Greg. Dan Orlovsky has to say here. Ironically, this is the section that I first originally heard only the first sentence, and then I immediately stopped and said, oh, I want to make this clip. And I didn't realize that I had the little second segment that I first heard was actually in the middle of it. So, the first part is I'm hearing it, and then the second part, I just know the part that he says specifically about November, but outside of that I do. Ent. But it's really worth listening to. So, take a listen. What does that look like? Is he capable of that role in your mind? Devonta. There is no doubt about it. I think Devonta, we're going to see the best version of him, because to me, to his point, it's been a lot of standstill. And it worked. They won a Super Bowl, and rightfully so. But people should expect Devonta Smith and what's asked of him to look a little bit like what's been asked of Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. Constantly moving in formation, constantly getting stats, the explosive pass game where he's running these deep ins or these deep crossers where not only are there going to be voids in the defense, but his route running, the savviness of it, the understanding of where the defense is weak will be taken advantage of. He has not been asked to do that, but he's capable of it, more than capable of it. I think he looks a lot like Justin Jefferson this year. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say deep overs, Devonta Smith. We're going to see so many because while I do think the offense needs to be more efficient, the short game is going to be a big part of it. Jalen Hurts throws a beautiful deep ball. As much as the guy has, faced criticism over the years for perceived limitations or whatnot or in real ones, that is something he excels at, and Devonta Smith is a player who can line up outside and win and can win deep. When A.J. Brown has been hurt or not played, he has been extremely productive for Philadelphia. I think his best football is yet to come. I'm so excited to watch him in this offense. I mean, you bring up Jalen Hurts. I want to get into this really quickly because there's so much now that falls on his plate, the onus of getting this offense back to where it was 2 years ago when they won a Super Bowl. How much of that responsibility is on Jalen Hurts? A lot. I mean, that's what comes with being QB1. I know sometimes folks say, well, you're giving more. It's Jalen Hurts was receiving unusual amount of criticism for being a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Any quarterback who is the starting quarterback who's making a big contract is going to receive this level of scrutiny when a new offense is put in play. I think he'll rise to the challenge. I mean, I've been paying really close attention to the language coming out of Philadelphia, and he sounds stoked about the new offense. I've been hearing him talk about being under center and buying into it. So, I'm optimistic about Hurts in this offense even if it is going to be dramatically different from what we've seen thus far. Courtney, let me jump real quick. November. Let's give this offense and the quarterback till November. Trust me, I know this offense. I know how it takes time. I said this about Caleb last year. What you see in September, early October, it will improve. Jalen's going to have to play quarterback in a way he never has where it's turning your back to defense and listening to your feet, when and where to throw. Give it till November till we really start to evaluate how well he can operate and how high this offense can go. True. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to give Jalen Hurts until November. I'm sure we'll get that. That's actually the part that I heard and then none of the other stuff. And yeah, I mean, it makes me think of this clip. And better, I've talked to a lot of coaches over the years, I'm sure you have as well, and most coaches will tell you that it takes 2 to 3 years for a quarterback to really get a sense of mastery within a specific offensive system. Yep. Right, that's Greg Cosell on Colin Cowherd talking about that it takes years to master the system. 1. Jalen's got to master it essentially from the jump, and 2, just also kind of continues to highlight that Jalen Hurts has had a new coordinator every single year. So, he's never been able to actually get settled and master the system. And then this is another Greg Cosell clip talking about, scheme, etc. So, take a listen. In the past game, and this, Colin, you get matchup football or you get schematic football where the scheme presents a clean, defined read for the quarterback. But, you also get matchup football where it's one-on-one and your guy wins and sometimes he doesn't win. I mean, Nix made a great throw on the second play of so, again, that's what everyone keeps talking about. The whole one-on-one matchup or scheme. And that's why I don't have it with me right now. It would take me too long to find. The Darius Slay clip where he talks about all these other guys are schemed. A.J. Brown and Devonta like they're not schemed. You're asking these guys just to win their matchups again and again and again. And actually Darius Slay, if memory serves me correctly, he references Justin Jefferson, which is funny cause so did Orlovsky just here. So, it's just exciting to feel like the Eagles, offensively, their role is going to be to finally just run a well-schemed offense. That their coaches are actually there to play some chess. To actually put them in positions to succeed. That makes it easier for them to succeed. I always talked about this. One of the best coaching moments that I ever had with coach after a huge moment for me. And I remember on the bus we were traveling and we were kind of just cracking jokes. I was kind of in the back. And my coach, we were just kind of we were just kind of like teasing each other and they were just like, oh, coach didn't trust you or whatever. And we were kind of laughing and I guess he overheard it and he called me up. And I had to go up to him. Which is always a little scary to do that when you're on the bus. Anytime you have to go one-on-one with coach. And you go up there and he's like, hey. He's like, I did that. Not because I didn't trust you. He's like, because I specifically trusted you. It's my job as the coach is to put you in a position to succeed. If I'm not doing that, then I am not doing my job. And that has always resonated with me and I think about that so much, especially when having these conversations. Now, there's two different ways though of doing that. Sometimes it's putting players in positions to succeed, but sometimes it's also putting them in a position to succeed by making things easier for them, right? It's really setting them up for success. Sometimes a coach can put you in a position to succeed, putting you at at the right place at the right time or, trusting you to be able to, get the job done. And other times it's like, I'm able to set this up for you. I'm able to set this layup for you. I'm able to make things fundamentally easier for you. And then that's what then makes me think of Tom Brady's quote about offensive coaching. A coach has got to get the players a lot of layups. Good OCs get their quarterbacks layups. And I think about that so much. And, with some smart play calling and some smart game plans, like you can set Saquon up and AJ and Devontae and Jalen up, but it's just like, you're not giving them layups. So, yes, sure, you can be setting them up for success in in a traditional sense, right? But, you're really just kind of opening up the opportunity for them to be successful and then having them go out and do it, rather than saying, I'm going to go out and do this for you. I'm going to go out and make sure that we have this taken care of. Which then makes me think of Kyle Shanahan. Who was on the radio and John Middlecoff discussed this and broke this down. Take a listen. Was your offense mine? I think that's too overwhelming for guys. And I think they could be more successful if you can take a lot of that off their plate and don't make them think as much on that so they can play faster and play a position that to me only 10 people in the world can play it at the right level anyways. And so when you put that all on a guy, I think it makes it harder for them to play. Like Peyton Manning did that. Peyton Manning was also in one formation his whole career. And they better have the right guys. Peyton's one of the best of all time. But that's how he done it his whole life. You right. Kyle Shanahan's whole approach is to try to simplify and make things as easy and as straightforward as possible. He's, snorts, the one that is just pouring all over the film, pouring all over what the defenses are going to bring, what he has to do offensively. He's the one that is doing all the thinking. So that when it's time to play, everybody can just play loose and play with instincts. And that's thinks of a completely other different coach that I had who would always say he goes, I want you to do all your thinking in practice. Do all the thinking in practice. I want you to worry about your footwork, your hands, all this. That's where you're thinking. That's where you're analyzing. That's where you're doing it. Game time, I don't want you to think about any of that. It's muscle memory, muscle memory, muscle memory. Just play. That's it. Nothing else. And again, it's another great coaching moment of just be free. In that moment, it's not time to think and try to troubleshoot or figure out anything else out. You're just there to play. You've already put in the work. And when you hear the amount of work that Kyle Shanahan puts in to make things as easy as possible. It's great. I mean, think about how successful this Eagles offense has been. And listen, if you're watching this video and you're just one of those people that's like, oh, they weren't actually that good. Or it was a bad passing game. Again, I've already debunked that in so many different ways because there's a difference between volume rankings and efficiency rankings. And the Eagles have been insanely efficient in certain metrics and also high, snorts, volume in other metrics. And that has just been strictly on we're better than you. We're going to win this match. I'm going to outplay you individually, man to man. And it's just like and yet look what they've been able to AC. Compelish. Now imagine adding another layer of and we're going to make it easier because of scheme. We're actually going to get you lambs. We're going to get Devonta, you don't have to win this matchup 30 yards down the field. We're going to get the ball in your hands for a 6-yard catch where you're running full speed and able to catch it and run after. Jalen Hurts your ability to throw a touchdown or to move the ball down the field is not going to be dependent on can you throw a 50-50th ball 60 yards down the field to A.J. Brown, okay? It's just going to be awesome. Saquon Barkley, you know what? Everyone is not going to know if we're going to run or not. They're not going to know if we're going to run because we have many tools right now at our disposal. We have many options. So, defenses are actually we're not sure if Saquon is and O-line it's also going to be a little bit easier. Because they're also not going to know how they need to play defense against you. So, yeah. Because that's what the one thing I don't have this clip. Greg Cosell kind of came out and said people are complaining the Eagles' offense is predictable. And he said, well, the offense has always been predictable. The difference is that they've been able to just play through and overcome because the O-line is so great. It's just but that's a bad thing. You're making things harder for your team even though they can accomplish it. Even though they can be successful. I think of another coaching lesson that I learned not from my own personal coach, but from something that I read before by this Olympic gymnastics coach, a rings guy if you guys don't know those or that's the real that's why those guys are just jacked because it's no joke. Men's gymnastics is a whole nother level, especially on the rings. And it was just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. And I also always think about that. There's lots of things that I can do, especially training, working out. And I always think about it's just because you can do that doesn't mean you should. And it's okay. And so, just the fact that this offense will no longer be so predictable, they'll have more variability, more easy buttons, more layups for everyone involved. That's the thing. For Saquon, the O-line, for Devonta, for Quez Watkins, for Dallas, right? For Jalen everyone involved. Everyone involved. It's why when I point out when I go through the film especially the 2 Super Bowls and why I credit Jalen Hurts so much there's not a lot of those easy button moments. And that's why I highlight so much throughout Patrick Mahomes' career. And people think you're using it to knock Mahomes. And it's no, but you have to acknowledge some of these gifts. You have to acknowledge. Just look no further than that first Super Bowl in 22. People are yeah, he won with MVP. And it's just he's just throwing. It's not to say that Patrick Mahomes didn't play great or didn't do great things. But there was just so Brady said, there were so many easy plays. The margin of error was just so much wider. Jalen Hurts has essentially never had that in his career. And it has nothing to do with Jalen Hurts' inability to read a defense or he can't see cause he's too small and he can't see over it's just that logically makes no sense cause it's just simply ski cause if you're saying that he can't take advantage of those types of layups, well then he can't simply be a quarterback in the NFL. He would have never been able to be a quarterback in the NFL. It's just not some of the things that they say that Jalen can't do is well then he wouldn't be able to be I don't care how great the team is. I don't care how great the O-line is. I don't care how great the receivers are. He would not be able to be in the NFL. And he certainly wouldn't have been able to play well enough to get to the Super Bowl multiple times. It just doesn't make sense. Logically it does not make sense. So that's why I continue to just be so excited. Because we're finally about to see a well-schemed, well-operated offense. And it's just yo. You're going to be able to breathe. It's sighs and gasps, it's just going to be nice. It's just going to be nice. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles? How do you feel that this offense is going to operate? Do you think it will be smoother? Do you think it will be easier for Jalen Hurts? Do you think people will give them the first couple of months to get situated, or they have to hit the ground running and be special, be elite, be the top offense in the NFL, be the top offense in NFL history within the first 2 weeks? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.